Hey there, nostalgia lovers! Welcome to Nostalgia Area. Did you know Apple once released a computer that cost over $10,000 and flopped harder than a fish on a trampoline? If you would like to rewind time to dig up the wild, weird, and wallet-burning tech disasters of the 1980s, you are in the right place. Today, we're diving into a list of high-stakes tech flops that didn't just crash and burn, they left behind a smoking crater of lost millions, broken dreams, and clunky plastic hardware. Stick around because some of these bombs came from names you know and love, like Apple, Sony, IBM, and others you may have forgotten entirely, unless you're still haunted by the Coleco Adam. Let's boot up the past and dive into the biggest tech disasters of the 80s that cost millions. First up, the Apple Lisa, aka the Rolls-Royce of personal computers. If the Rolls-Royce immediately stalled and cost more than your house. Released in 1983, the Lisa was packed with futuristic features like a graphical user interface and a mouse, things we take for granted now. But there was one massive issue, the price tag. At nearly $10K, the average consumer looked at it and said, "Yeah, I'll just buy a car instead." Apple spent over $50 million developing the Lisa.
They say that these drives were unreliable. I'm not sure I've really experienced that here. They've been pretty good.
It sold so poorly that unsold units were reportedly buried in a landfill in Utah. Yes, buried, as in the high-tech became low-earth content. Want to see what it looked like? We've linked a mini Lisa desk replica and the book The Second Coming of Steve Jobs in the description below. In 1984, IBM tried to go cute and cuddly with the PCJr, a home computer meant to appeal to families and kids. But instead of a lovable gadget, they delivered what many called a Frankenstein machine, a poorly designed, awkward hybrid that failed to live up to expectations.
Everyone is cordially invited to a computer demonstration starring PCJr from IBM.
It had a hideous chiclet keyboard, a cramped, mushy input device that made typing a frustrating experience. Worse still, the PCJr suffered from severe compatibility issues which made it unable to run much of the software that had made the original IBM PC a hit. And despite its playful branding, the machine carried a steep price tag, putting it out of reach for many families. IBM lost an estimated $50 million, and the PCJr quietly vanished from shelves. Not even promotional appearances in Saturday morning cartoons could save it. Betamax. The VHS versus Betamax war is a tale as old as time, or at least as old as magnetic tape. Sony's Betamax tapes had better video quality than VHS.
Manufacturers of beta equipment are trying to increase their share of the home video pie in different ways.
So why did they lose? One word, timing, or more precisely, recording time. VHS could record longer shows, and when it came to taping full-length movies or a 3-hour football game, people weren't exactly lining up to swap the tapes mid-play. Sony stuck to Betamax like it was their destiny, losing hundreds of millions as VHS conquered living rooms worldwide. If you're still on Team Betamax, check out the retro Betamax merch and collectible tapes linked below. If you thought the Apple Lisa was bad, meet the Coleco Adam, a computer so flawed, it sometimes deleted its own software upon startup. Yes, you plug it in, turn it on, and poof, it's like the computer forgot it even existed.
Soon you'll plug in Adam, the revolutionary ColecoVision family computer module.
Coleco had made a killing with their ColecoVision game console, so they rushed into the home computer market. But the Adam had massive quality issues, including electromagnetic interference that corrupted its own cassette drives. The result? A $65 million loss in one quarter and the slow death of Coleco itself. GEM, by Digital Research, was a sleek graphical operating system meant to compete with Windows and Mac.
This is GEM, or to give it its full name, the Graphics Environment Manager.
Unfortunately, it looked a little too much like Apple's interface. Apple, never shy about lawsuits, took action and forced Jim to be visually dumbed down. The software lost its edge, developers lost interest, and Jim faded into obscurity. Was it a failure of tech? Not quite, but a failure of legal foresight? Absolutely. And it cost millions in missed potential. While the CDI didn't hit shelves until the early 90s, development began in the 80s, and that's when the money pit started. Philips wanted this console to do everything: play games, music, movies, encyclopedias, you name it. But the result was a confused machine that did nothing particularly well.
I'm showing a console today that I've owned for, must be about 3 years.
And the games? Let's just say, if you've seen the cursed Zelda animations from CDI, you already know. Philips reportedly lost over $1 billion developing and supporting the CDI. It was the Swiss Army knife of tech if every blade was dull. The idea of video calling wasn't new. AT&T had actually been tinkering with it as far back as the 1960s with its original Picturephone prototype. But the company's biggest and most disastrous attempt to push the technology into the mainstream came in the 1980s, when it revived the concept with updated hardware and a fresh marketing blitz.
Demonstration of the telephone of tomorrow at the Western Electronics Convention in San Francisco.
The Picturephone was futuristic, sure, but it had poor image quality, expensive hardware, and high usage fees. Think $20 for a 3-minute call. Yikes. Unsurprisingly, consumers weren't lining up to blow their budgets on blurry, awkward video chats. Despite investing over $500 million over the decades, AT&T couldn't make it work. Decades later, free, high-quality services like Skype, FaceTime, and Zoom would succeed where the Picturephone failed, proving that the idea wasn't wrong, just wildly ahead of its time and its pricing. After being ousted from Apple, Steve Jobs launched Next Inc., promising the computer of the future. And it kinda was, but the future wasn't ready for it.
This is kind of the first computer of the 1990s. In other words, it's coming out with optical storage.
The next computer was sleek, powerful, and full of innovation. But it was also $6,500, didn't have a market, and sold poorly. It lost tens of millions in its time. But plot twist, Apple later bought Next, and its software became the core of Mac OS and iOS. So while Next was a flop, it was also the Trojan horse that brought jobs back to Apple. Want to see what the legendary Cube looked like? We've linked many Next Cube replicas and Walter Isaacson's biography of Steve Jobs below. When Laserdisc hit the scene in the late 1970s, it seemed like the future of home entertainment, boasting crisp analog video quality, far sharper than VHS, CD-grade digital audio, and a sleek, futuristic aesthetic. It was the cinephile's dream, decades before Blu-ray and 4K. But the discs themselves were the size of vinyl records, requiring massive players and gobbling up shelf space. Unlike VHS, they couldn't record TV shows, a major downside for everyday consumers. And with players costing upwards of $1,000, equivalent to over $4,000 today, and discs priced at $50 to $100 a piece, it was a luxury most families couldn't justify. Manufacturers like Pioneer and Philips lost millions trying to push the format, and by the late 90s, it was clear Laserdisc had lost the war. Still, it paved the way for DVDs later on, just not before collecting dust under many a TV stand. In the mid-1980s, Radio Shack's parent company, Tandy, aimed to compete in the booming business computer market with the TRS-80 Model 2000. On paper, it was a solid machine, powerful, well-engineered, and faster than many of its competitors. But it had one catastrophic flaw. It wasn't IBM PC compatible. And in the 1980s business world, that wasn't just a drawback, it was a death sentence. The Model 2000, despite its technical merits, couldn't run popular IBM-compatible programs like Lotus 123 or WordPerfect. Without access to that critical software library, the machine was essentially a $2,000 paperweight for most corporate buyers. Millions were lost in development and stranded inventory. The TRS-80 Model 2000 became a cautionary tale in tech history. Proof that even a well-designed product could fail spectacularly if it ignored industry standards.
In this uncertain and bewildering world of personal computers, the Tandy 2000...
And there you have it, 10 of the most expensive tech flops of the 1980s, where the only thing more tragic than a design flaws was the money burned. From self-erasing computers to overpriced video calls and doomed formats, the 80s were a wild frontier of innovation and spectacular failure. If you enjoyed this nostalgic trip through tech history, be sure to like this video to show some love, subscribe for more retro deep dives every week, and check out the affiliate links below for cool throwback merch, retro gadgets, and collectible tech books. What was your favorite or most ridiculous tech fail on this list? Or did you actually own one of these flops? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching Nostalgia Area, where past mistakes are today's entertainment. Until next time, may your hard drive stay spinning and your gadgets never delete themselves on startup.